respected management. Good morning to one and all present for this webinar, and respected management, speakers, principal, faculties, and participants. I am Simna, Assistant Professor, Soundarya College of Law. I like to quote that a society can only be rich with the good thoughts and good intentions. Thank you. Now, I heartily welcome you all to be a part of this informative webinar on the topic called Factors Facilitating Continuity and Change. We request all the participants to maintain the decorum all through the sessions and ensure that your video and audios are muted for enriching the learning experience. Now, I would like to introduce the speaker of today's webinar, Mr. Anshu Pal, Research Intern, Center for Sociology and Policy Research from Christ University, Bengaluru. Mr. Anshu Pal pursued his MA in Applied Sociology and cleared UGC NET in 2022. Sir has done many publications and research projects and was invited to many conferences by reputed institutions. Sir participated in the Christ Junior College Model United Nations in 2014 and 2015 as a delegate representing the Dominion Republic and Canada and Boy Scout of America. Sir served as sub-editor for the Synergy, Sociology and Social Work Association of Christ University from 2019 to March 2020. Currently, Sir is serving as a research intern, Center for Sociology and Policy Research in Christ University, Bengaluru. So today, we are very glad to have an excellent academician with us to share his views. We welcome you, sir. So over to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. I must say, it feels really great to be here with all of you today. And I thank Dr. B.P. Mahesha, Ms. Simna M., and Mr. Keithan Kumar for granting me this opportunity to be with all of you. Please turn on your cameras. It would be nice to see your faces today, so that we can have a more human touch in this session. Don't hesitate to turn on your cameras, but if you can't, that's also fine. Okay, so today I'll be conducting a session on practices facilitating continuity and change. So I'll just share my screen now. Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's nice to know. Okay, so let's start. So today we're going to understand the concept of continuity and change and how you, as law students and future lawyers and judges, can practice the same. Before I start, I have a question for all of you. Take a look at this building on this slide and tell me what you think about it. Take a look at its features, take a look at its appearance. What are some words that come into your mind? Any one of you can unmute and tell me. Feel free to tell me what you think about it. Any responses? Do not worry.
It's a building, sir.
Okay, it's a building. And what do you see in that building? Do you think it's unique in any way? Do you think there's something different about this building?
Yeah, difference is there, sir. It's not a kind of building, and also some.
Okay, so it's not a usual kind of building. Well, this building is a building which combines two elements, the old and the new. We see a facade that it harks back to the styles used in the 19th century and the early 20th century. But within the building, we also see a portion which looks like a modern skyscraper. kind of like the skyscrapers we see in the metropolitan cities of the world. So this is what what this session signifies today, how there is a continuity of tradition and how there is a change in society. So here's what the talk will be about today. In this session, we shall first learn about continuity. We shall learn what is continuity. We shall look at an example of continuity and also see the factors determining continuity. Then we shall look at change. We shall understand what is change. We shall look at an example of change and also the factors determining the same. After this, there will be an activity session where all of you will have to use the Mentimeter website for expressing your opinions and expressing your ideas, which I'll come to later, and you'll have to defend those ideas. Then I shall conclude with a statement of what shall be next for you as future lawyers and judges, or as practitioners of continuity and change in the future. And then I shall suggest some works that you can read for developing your practitioner skills in continuity and change. So let's start. First, let's understand what is continuity. According to the Cambridge Dictionary of English, continuity refers to the fact of something continuing for a long period of time without being changed or stopped. I repeat, the fact of something continuing for a long period of time without being changed or stopped. In addition, the APA Dictionary of Psychology states that continuity is the quality or state of being unending or connected into a continuous whole. I repeat, the quality or state of being unending or connected into a continuous whole. In other words, in the realm of sociology, continuity refers to the maintenance of a custom, tradition, a practice, a ritual, a norm, and in many cases, products from one time period of the past into the present and into the future. So here we have an example of continuity, an Indian marriage. And I think this is a scene that many of you are familiar with. Many of you must have grown up seeing this. But let's understand why it is continuity. So first, let's look at the factors determining continuity. First is belongingness to a social group. People are social beings, so they belong to various social groups. These include families, friend circles, law bars of lawyers, as you may be familiar with, or groups of businessmen, and a lot more. Now, when people belong to social groups, they try to create an identity for themselves based on the activities of their social groups. As such, they start and continue the practices of their social groups. Second comes personal significance of customs, traditions, and mores or norms prescribing what is right and what is wrong. People growing up in societies are socialized to appreciate their society's activities. So in the process, they come to see, especially after their teenage, several customs, traditions, and practices as important for their survival and also important for, excuse me, could somebody mute their microphone, please? Okay, let's continue. So as I was saying, people, when they grow up in a society, appreciate a lot of the society's customs, traditions, and practices. And they see the same as important to their survival and to their well-being. So they continue the same. And third comes collectivism and individualism. There are two kinds of societies in the world: collectivist societies and individualist societies. Collectivist societies are societies in which priority is given to the survival of the society over many generations, over even millennia, or thousands of years. As such, the activities that people conduct in those societies are centered towards maintaining their societies. So in this case, what is seen is that continuity is greater of the social traditions, customs, and artifacts. Individualist societies, however, are characterized by people who pay attention to their own needs, to their individual identity, to their own capabilities, their own talents. And so in these societies, priority is given to the development and happiness of the individual, and of course, the survival of the individual. So in this case, when there is a lot of scope for change from the individual, continuity is less. So all in all, we can say it's the social structure that primarily determines continuity. Now, taking this example of an Indian marriage, we can relate these points to it. First, we see that the two individuals in this photo belong to Indian society. As such, because they belong to Indian society, where Indian society is characterized by most people marrying each other for leading a life together, these individuals have also decided to marry each other. Second is that marriages are often seen as a holy union between individuals in Indian society. And a marriage is also seen as the beginning of a long journey of survival and togetherness and happiness for individuals. These are the ways in which a marriage is significant to the two individuals we see here, and so they've decided to marry. And third, Indian society is for the most part collectivist, which means that a lot of focus is given on maintaining tradition and honor of its customs, practices. That's also why these two individuals have married. Thus, this is how we understand continuity. Now let's look at change. Exactly what is change? According to the Cambridge Dictionary of English, change is the act of becoming different or the result of something becoming different. I repeat, the act of becoming different or the result of something becoming different. According to Heraclitus, an ancient Greek philosopher, change is the only constant. I repeat, change is the only constant. And this is a quote that you will be able to understand in terms of its significance as this session goes on. So we have an example of change, or rather, a source of change. The civil rights movement in the United States in the mid-1900s. Exactly how is it an example of social change? So let's look at the factors determining change. They are the following. First is technology. Technology is a factor of change because it changes the lifestyle of an individual and the individual's schedule. Second is education. Education brings about a change in the attitude and skill set of an individual. It also brings about a change in the worldview of an individual. Third come demographic factors, where the size of a population, the composition of a population, and the distribution of a population determine the extent to which social change happens, like how frequently it happens, what sections of the society, in what sections of society change happens, and more. Third comes changes in politics and resultant legislations. When political systems change, what is seen is that the individuals who are in power see changes in how much power they can exercise over other individuals. Changes are seen in how they are selected to represent the people, and finally, how they can frame laws for governing the people. All these lead to changes in society as well. Fourth comes conflict. Sometimes, when groups of individuals with different ideas come into conflict with each other, what often happens is a compromise, where they agree to incorporate some ideas that each of them have. So when the differing ideas are integrated into a common framework, into a common plan, law, or simply a social agreement that may happen in our day-to-day interactions, we see a change in individuals' behavior, and that change in behavior determines social change. Finally comes the environment, be it the natural environment or the social environment. What happens is that changes in the environment lead to changes in the way individuals respond to the environment for their survival and for their well-being. And the changes in their responses determine the changes in their society. In other words, it is agency, or the individual will and perception and opinion of a person that determines social change. So when we take the example of the civil rights movement, we see a number of things. To begin with, a new generation of Americans born after World War II, during the baby boom era, became exposed to a new system of education and that is informal education through books written by John Steinbeck and other authors that challenged racist attitudes, that challenged perceptions of who could be superior or inferior in society just because of their birth. Second, technology played a major role. Television sets and radios, which were the most advanced media technologies of the era, rapidly proliferated in American homes. And these technologies allowed them to see the plight and the efforts of African Americans for civil rights to a greater extent and more explicitly. Third, African Americans and Caucasian Americans were in conflict with each other over the idea of what is equality, what is human equality and equity. And so the environment at that time was also becoming conducive for the civil rights movement. Decolonization was happening all over the world, where colonies were being dismantled and independent countries came up, challenging the concept of racist control over different regions. And so that proved to be a major turning point for the civil rights movement. And finally, as a result of all these, the Civil Rights Act was enacted in 1965, which finally legally stated that racial discrimination was illegal. It could not be done officially or unofficially anymore. So this is how we see change in society. Okay, it's activity time. I'll tell you what the activity is that all of you have to do now, and I call it the Mentimeter Meditations. I have made 4 links which you have to click on, and you have to answer the questions in only a few words, and then a word cloud will appear in which your responses shall be seen. I shall send the links to you right now so that you can do this activity. You have 5 minutes of time. Okay, I've posted the 4 links, the 4 Mentimeter links. Let me know if these links are working, and you can start now. You have 5 minutes time. This is a session in which I have focused on, in which I am doing my best to make it as interactive as possible, because I see the potential in you to be lawyers who can facilitate continuity and change effectively. Therefore, I strongly encourage you to do this activity. Do this activity, and we shall progress on to something more based on it. And trust me, it's going to be very engaging and fun. The links are in the chat box. If anyone has any questions on how to use the Mentimeter links, I'm more than happy to help you out. If you have any difficulties, just tell me and I'll instruct you on how to use the links. You have 5 more minutes. Feel free to express what you want to express on the Mentimeter web pages. Think as broadly as you can. Think of what you've seen in the news. Think of what you've seen in your surroundings. And think about the reflections that you may have had sometimes on your society or the world society. Think as much as you can. Okay, you have 1 more minute. After that, we shall start. And thank you for unmuting me. Okay, you can stop. So now what we shall do is that we shall take a look at the Mentimeter word clouds. I'll share my screen and show you. So this is the first word cloud, or the first question that you answered. Now, when I speak, I encourage you to take screenshots of what I'm showing, or write notes, whichever you feel comfortable with for now. So let's take 3 words that we see here. Number 1 is language or cultural traditions. Second is basic customs. And third is technology. These are some good points. And I think many of these points are relevant for the kind of world we're living in, the kind of time period that we're living in. So this is what we see in the first Mentimeter link. Second, for the second question also, I see some good answers. So I see that food is something that everyone has written about the most, or most of you have written food. That's understandable. Then the family system, then post-clearance audit, and self-assessment. Were you able to see my previous screen? I've shown 2 slides. Could you see both of the slides? Someone let me know if you could see both of the slides. If not, I'll start from the first slide again. Could someone let me know if they were able to see both word clouds, or if I should go back to the first word cloud? Please let me know. Okay, I'll start from the beginning. So this is the first word cloud. In the first word cloud, we can take the words language or cultural traditions, basic customs, and technology. Now going to the second word cloud, we see food, post-clearance audit, and ethics as traditions, customs, formalities, or material things and ideas that we'd like to keep the same in India. Okay. On the third slide, for any 4 social changes you want to see, 4 social changes that we can take are equality in gender, no discrimination, respect all cultures, and proper leadership. This is amazing. I like it. And the last slide, social changes you want to see in India. So you want to see ancient literature being taught. You want to see education with technology. You want that modernity be embraced. So we can take these 3 points. Okay, I hope you've written down the 3 or 4 points that I've said for each slide based on what you've written, because now we shall go to the second stage of this interactive activity. Defending your decisions. Having written down the different kinds of continuity and the different kinds of social change you want to see both in India and across the world, you now have to defend your choices. the commonly chosen choices. Now think of the following before you go to defend your choices for continuity and change. First is the amount of influence the factors of social change and the factors of continuity have on the phenomena that we want, such as gender equality or proper leadership. For instance, second, think about the problems faced by the people that you are concerned about, whom you thought about when you wrote your decisions on the Mentimeter pages. Third is the aggregate of benefits for both the targeted sections of the population and the whole population. This means how your decisions will benefit both the people you are concerned about as well as other people within the same society. And fourth, think about the effect of your decisions on the future generation. For how many years, for how many decades are your decisions on Mentimeter going to impact the future generation? I give you 5 minutes time to write some brief points, keeping in consideration these 4 points on defending the decisions, so that you can write about how you as future lawyers can defend yourself and make sure that your choices are respected. Because from what I've understood, lawyers are people who make all the difference in terms of what society follows or does not follow. I give you 5 minutes time, and then one of you or two of you can tell me which decisions on Mentimeter you wanted to defend. Any two decisions, one for continuity and one for change, and then tell me why you want to defend them. I give you 5 minutes time. You can start. Whatever you will be writing right now should be kept by you until the end of your course, until the end of your law course, because you can then go back to these notes and later as a lawyer, as a lawmaker, or as a judge, have a sharper understanding of how to critically understand as well as defend, go against, or modify laws related to continuity and social change. Because we see many of these in our daily lives. We have seen a whole range of laws being created over the years.
Excuse me, Anshu Pal.
Yes, ma'am.
I can talk about your continuity and change. That is, you said that.
Ma'am, I see a sharp. I hear a sharp sound.
You are not
Okay,
able to
gone.
hear.
No, ma'am. It's at first there was an echo I heard, but it's gone. Please, ma'am, tell me.
Yeah, sir. You said that what the continuity and what the change we want. Talking about the continuity, the India, it's not only about the India. I'm talking about the whole world or the society. We can say, for example, whatever happening in the society, let it happen continuously. Whereas
Simna, madam.
now, talking about the change.
Simna, madam. Please mute
Yes.
the other devices around you.
Yeah,
Please
one
mute
second.
other devices around you.
Am I audible, sir, now?
Yeah, clear. Thank you.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible. Please tell me.
Hello.
Ma'am, you're
actually
audible.
Yeah.
I can
So
hear you.
talking about the continuity, whatever happening in the society, let it happens. So the talking about the change, if you want to make some change, the continuity which is happening in the society, in that we can make some change. Like, like for example, when we take up our values or whatever values in the family system,
Yes.
or values in any leadership, or if you under the leadership, if you want to do some creativity, we can add something new to it. That
Yes.
is what, like when you ask continuity and change, that is what I like to answer for this.
Yes, ma'am. It's a very valid point that you've made. And in fact, that is a point that I'd like to emphasize in my conclusion. It's a very good point that you've made, ma'am. I completely agree with it.
Yes, sir, you can continue.
Okay, students, you have 1 minute left. After that, one or two of you may defend your decisions for ensuring continuity for one phenomenon and change for another phenomenon.
Sir, we didn't hear you, sir. Can you repeat once again?
Ma'am, I just said that the students have 1 more minute to write down why they want to defend their decisions that they took on the Mentimeter platform. Okay, time is up. One of you talk about how you want to defend one of your continuity related decisions and one of your change related decisions. Do not worry. Feel free to say what you'd like to say. Developing yourselves as lawyers, it is important to be able to express your own judgment and your own understanding of the situation. This is an interactive session. One of you may speak. It can be anybody, but one of you must speak. Okay then, so there aren't any responses that we are getting right now, but you can write about you can just keep the notes that you've written on how you want to defend your decisions with you. And as I've said, you can refer to them later during your career for being able to critically appraise different laws that are about to be enacted to decide whether for the social and cultural aspects of Indian society or world society, they should be rejected, accepted, or modified. So to conclude, I pose a question of what next? So I think that what can come next for you can be explained by these two quotes, and quotes that have been very well summarized by Simna ma'am. By John Hoffman, a sociologist who wrote these quotes in the Cambridge Dictionary of Sociology, I say, change to be meaningful must be expressed through continuity with the past so that newness can be critically appraised. Change to be meaningful must be expressed through continuity with the past so that newness can be critically appraised. And second, change is neither simply evolutionary nor revolutionary. It is always both. Change is neither simply evolutionary nor revolutionary. It is always both. So this is how I conclude, and I would like to have all of you see this building again. See this building again and think about it again after having this understanding of continuity and change. What your answers may be, you can keep to yourself for now, but you can think of this building in Chile and see how you've transformed your understanding of these two phenomena, continuity and change. I'd like to suggest some works to read, and you can read these works when you want, have a better understanding of how you as lawmakers, as lawyers, or as judges can be more effective as practitioners of continuity and change. First is Indian Society by S.C. Dubey. This is a very good book, which briefly, but in detail, talks about the nature of Indian society, or at least the traditional structure of Indian society. Second is Social Change in Modern India by M. N. Srinivas, who is India's best-known sociologist and who comes from here. This is a book which talks about the process of social change in India ever since the colonial era. And then Sociology from the 14th edition onwards. You can also read the 16th edition by John J. Mashaunis, gives an overview of what a society is like, the basic concepts of what makes a society. Then Sociological Theory from the 5th edition and Classical Sociological Theory, both written by George Ritzer, are excellent books which talk about how different sociologists or social philosophers have understood social change and what kind of change they themselves want to bring into society. So I suggest these books to you for all of you to read. And now it's time for some questions and answers. Feel free to ask me any questions that you would like, and I'll do my best to answer them for you. Feel free to ask any question you like. I'm fine answering them. Am I audible? Simna ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay. If any of you have any questions to ask, feel free to ask me. I'm ready, and I'd feel really nice to answer them. Okay, so there are no questions at the moment, but I do feel you will have many questions later on. Through your understanding of continuity and change, I hope you will be able to answer those questions in the long run. And I hope that this session has been helpful for you to be practitioners of continuity and change for both India as well as the world as lawyers. Thank you very much for being a wonderful audience. It's been a pleasure to be with you.
Participants, please ask your questions in the chat box below Google.
Ma'am, you're not audible. Is it okay if you could speak a bit? Is it okay if you could speak again? Your voice is breaking.
Now am I audible, sir?
Yes, ma'am,
Am
you're
I
audible.
audible? Yeah. Participants, please drop your questions in the chat box given below. Any doubts or any questions? Thank you, sir, for sharing your input on this thought-provoking topic and making this session very good. So, sir, we have this like in case nobody is questioning or there is no question. So, anyway, thank you. Now, I'd like to say a vote of thanks for you, sir. So, first and foremost, my heartfelt thanks to our management for, our principal sir is there now. Yeah, now I would like to request our beloved principal, Dr. B.P. Mahesha, to deliver this presentation remarks.
Yeah, it was a good discussion wherein students were involved to take part in discussion process. I think it's a first kind. It's a first kind. The information given by the speaker was very crucial for the present day juncture. I feel that each one of a student who participated this event will inspire, is inspired by the speaker to take up research on the topics or research on the topic which where the speaker given the information. I wholeheartedly thanks for accepting our invitation. Sir, one thing we are going to promise you that whatever the information given by you to our students is going to share with others. That's the practice we are having to. Another thing I would like to tell you that sure, my Soundarya College of Law leaders, social soldiers will take this issue for a further research activities. Simna madam, please go ahead. Please be in touch with the speaker. Let speaker interact, contains interaction with our students. Let good research activities be started in our institution. Thanks to all.
Thank you very much, sir. It's been a pleasure to be here with you, and I'm very thankful to you and Simna ma'am for inviting me to be here. I feel very nice about it.
First and foremost, my heartfelt thanks to our management for permitting us to organize this webinar series. I would like to thank our guest speaker, Mr. Anshu Pal, Intern, Center for Sociology and Policy Research at University of Bengaluru, for lighting us on this topic, especially factors facilitating continuity in change. And I will explain it detailedly. I like the way you have asked the question, and we got some ideas about every concept about the factors and continuity in change. So I would like to thank our beloved principal, Dr. B.P. Meditations, Soundarya College of Law, for extending the support and always to conduct this webinar. So I would like to thank all the faculty for the time support to plan and execute this webinar into a successful one. Now, I would like to thank IT department for running this webinar smoothly. Last but not least, I thank all the participants for their active participation in this webinar. So once again, I thank one and